It's going. All right, thank you. I decided I was going to do this piece of the review separately. I've had a couple of times had people ask me about my navigation system, and previously I had the Garmin. It's an older Garmin. I don't recall the series, but it's one of the obsolete ones. I've had it for some time, and I think it, because the power cord sat right here, it got some vibration and had some problems with it. The mini USB actually finally failed. But I had it here on a RAM mount, and that's where I ran it for quite a long time. But having it broke and then repaired it once, I'm just not inclined to repair it again. So I've been running Waze, and Waze is a free application, and it's owned by Google Maps. And so the only downside for that was that it was not glove friendly. Well, since then, I picked up this stuff off of Amazon called Any Glove, and it's about $20 for 15 milliliters, and it's looks like just black paint that you squeeze out. And by the way, I'm not getting any kind of getting anything from Amazon or Any Glove. That's why you're not going to see any ads on my video. I'm just telling you because it works. And basically you put it on your glove and it's black, so it doesn't even show. I don't know if the camera will even pick up. It's a little bit shinier right there. The fingers that have been treated with the Any Glove will allow me to move the map. And the nice thing about Waze is, of course, the phone is a Bluetooth, and I can hear alerts through it. Waze will give you traffic alerts, and it's kind of it's sort of a social media and map reading. So as you're going down the highway, other drivers, other Wazers, will see, say like they see an accident or they see police or something, they can report that and it'll show up. And then with gloves that you can actually touch, you can either acknowledge that, yeah, the hazard is still there, or you didn't see it. Now you can enter it yourself. You just press that button, and there you can report location of police. Of course, I don't do this well, and it doesn't work 100% of the time. There, and you can say hidden, visible, other side, whatever, which I'm not going to report. You can also report gas prices, traffic jams, and so it'll actually help other drivers. Most of the time when I'm riding, I'm kind of don't really have my head down towards the phone. I try to keep it up, and so I don't really report very much, but I'll at least acknowledge it because I hear about it, unless I'm stopped. Now with the Any Glove, you don't have the dexterity that you do with bare finger. And for finding addresses, I'll not try to do that while I'm riding. I'll actually find a place to stop and enter the address and then let the GPS guide me in. But the Waze doesn't have everything that the Garmin does, but it works pretty well. So I don't think I'm going to replace my GPS now that it's dead. I think I'm just going to stay with the Waze because, you know, there's fewer devices on the dash, and it's just a nicer, cleaner look. And when I get off the bike, the phone comes with me. A year now, and figured it's high time that I do a review. And as you can see, I'm here at the airplane park on Luke Air Force Base. I was just trying to come up with a spot, a nice place to do my review, and figured that, you know, having spent most of my adult life on or near military bases, I figured this would be the appropriate place. I was in the MSF class a year ago and learned, and previous to that I've been looking at motorcycles for a couple of months. Went through several different ones, and finally I kind of settled on the Versys. And Versys stands for versatile system, and it's bred off of the Ninja. You know, a lot of the bikes are off the Ninja, and in 2015 they changed the front end from that ugly look to what it is now. It's got kind of a nice Ninja look to it, and I was really happy with it. When I first saw it, I was looking at the Ninjas, and they sit a lot lower, and you can see this sits quite a bit higher. It's kind of a tall bike. Stock from the factory, the seat height was 33 inches, and I've got a 31-inch inseam, so it was tippy-toe. So for me, so I wasn't quite sure that I really wanted to do it, but I got on it, and you know, after just riding the Hondas that they had in MSF, I've never really been on a bike before, so it felt okay, but I kind of liked the fact that it's versatile and it has a lot of different functions. It's kind of, the way I look at it, it's kind of the SUV of motorcycles. It's not a dual sport, it's not an off-road bike at all. It's a street bike, but it was designed for rough roads, for potholes, for crappy pavement, and I have ridden it off pavement, dirt and gravel roads. I have seen people that have put off-road type tires on it and taken them in some really crazy places. I've seen the Versys, not the 2015, but the older models. I've seen videos of guys riding them across streams and all sorts of stuff. But you know, it's a heavy bike. It's got the smaller front wheel. It's 17-inch wheels versus like some of the other adventure bikes that have the 19-inch front wheel, which might be a little bit more stable off-road. But I primarily just ride it on the paved roads anyways. I mean, once in a while I'll get on a dirt or gravel if I have to, but it's not something that I really enjoy. This is the LT edition version, and I don't know for sure, but I think LT probably stands for light touring. And what you get with the LT versus the standard is you get the hand guards, and you get the hard saddlebags, which are not on today. I put them on and I take them off, and you know, just depending on how I feel. Right now I have used to be a tank bag, which is on my rear carrier. I put on a rear carrier by SW Motec just to give me a little bit more room, so I don't have to mount a bag on the pillion seat, so that way I can carry more stuff. And in my opinion, the bike should have came with that from the factory, but you know, I added it on. Problems have been zero. I've not had any issues with it at all. I'll start with the first thing that I noticed when I got the bike was that I was kind of afraid that if I did drop it, you know, being a new rider, that I was going to drop it on the fairings. And the side fairings, this side of the gas tank here, this is all plastic. And so what I've done, one of the first things that I added was these side crash bars by SW Motec. And I looked at several different types of frame sliders. A lot of them just looks like a piece of round pipe that sticks out. I've heard of people, you know, where they drop a bike, they low side or whatever, and then that frame slider hits a pothole or something, and it totally tweaks the frame and can total the bike. Where with this one, you can see it kind of curves around, and it's attached directly to the frame on both sides. And when I first put it on, I tried it out. Let's say in the garage, you know, I laid it down purposely. But first I put down a piece of rug from in the house. I laid a rug on the garage floor, and I just laid it down on the rug just to see where it would catch. And it didn't touch the engine at all. and it did kind of push in the shifter a little bit, and it does touch the turn signal. But this is all flexible, and this is cheap. If I have to replace it, I can always do that. So frame sliders were really kind of a no-brainer for me. I wanted to have something just to protect it somewhat. And my next things was fork sliders. So I got them on the both sides. This is, you know, R&G Racing. They're kind of a polyurethane type material, and they're very easy to install. There's a stainless steel rod that goes through, and there's a bolt in here with lock nuts, and it just locks right on. And what it does, it gives me a little bit of protection, so if I do lay it down, I'll hopefully get less damage. And now onto the back. I did the same thing. I first decided I was going to do my own maintenance, so I put on some spools for doing the maintenance. And then I found these. These are they act as like a rear slider, and also for putting my floor jack on. So they were fairly cheap. I found them on Amazon. They're machined aluminum, and it just gives the back end just a little bit of protection, so that if I do end up sliding it somehow at some point, my sliders will take the hit instead of the swing arm. So, you know, a little bit less damage if it happens. Fortunately, I've been riding a year and I have not dropped the bike. The stock tires were they were Dunlops, and after 3,000 miles, they developed a kind of a severe flat spot. And it was to the point where I could feel it. You know, when I would turn, it felt like I was like riding on a groove or something in the road or something, or a seam or something. So they flat spotted really, really quick. I don't think Dunlops are a bad tire, but I've always been a fan of Michelin's, and so these at 3,000 miles, I replaced these with the Michelin Pilot Road 4. And the Pilot Road 4 has got a harder compound in the center and a medium compound on the outside. And as you can see, I got 5,000 miles on these, and they're really, I mean, you can tell that they've worn some, but they really haven't worn very much. And so I replaced the set. Incidentally, I didn't mount them, but I removed the wheels myself. That was kind of a learning experience. Had to pick up a couple extra tools. Took the wheels into a local motorcycle shop, not where I bought it. There's actually a KTM dealer near me, and so I took them there, and they replaced them for $50. And I still have the old tires. I don't know if I'll ever do anything with them or not, but like I said, I've had these Pilot Road 4s for 5,000 miles now. I'm at 8,000 miles. I know that's probably not, some people might not think that's a lot. Maybe they think it is a lot, but for a year of riding, you know, I don't have a long commute. And the thing that I learned fairly quickly is to keep the chain clean. So I've always done that on my bicycles, and so I've kept this clean. I've not had to adjust it. I checked the slack, and it's still within spec. So the fact that I'm keeping it clean and keeping it lubed, and I use a chain wax. It's kind of a thick. It's like Cosmoline, and you know, I figure that the thicker lube is less likely to fling off. So, but at some point, the chain and sprockets will have to be replaced. That's just the nature of having a chain drive. But so far so good. 8,000 miles and no issues. All right, since I'm down here, one of the things that I did add is and again, this is something I think that Kawasaki should have installed themselves, but it's made by GIVI or GV. It's a rear guard. It's just a rear inner fender, And before I had this, I rode in the rain. I rode on dirty, muddy roads, and it was just a dirty rain. And there was all sorts of road crap that went all down in here, up in the engine and every place, and it took me forever to finally get it cleaned up. So the inner fender kind of helped somewhat. And as you can see, I still have my rear fender, my jacket's over it, but you know, some people say, well, they don't like the way that looks, but I have another riding friend that took his off, and we were riding together in the rain, and with him in front of me, it was throwing up like a stream of water. It looked like I was following a jet ski. And of course there was dirty muddy water and crap all over his back seat and all over his back. So yeah, maybe the factory rear fender looks goofy, but you know, I'm okay with it. I'm gonna keep it. While we're on fenders, the other thing that I added, this was actually fairly cheap, was, I think they called it the Fender Extender. You know, that's where it was marketed. It's not GV, it's some other brand, but it's basically the same thing. And I put that on, you know, it just made sense to have more of a fender so I don't get as much road crap splashed up underneath my engine. Also, I have a radiator guard. You know, it doesn't take a lot to puncture a radiator. So all of them that I've seen are like around $100. Where I found this piece of expanded steel at, I think, Lowe's or Home Depot, and I cut it with the tin snips, and I put some automotive door edge guard on the sides, and it's all clear and free. See if I can get it better. And you know, it does the job. I've had it for a while. It doesn't seem to block any air, and it protects the radiator a little bit. You can see down here I have two horns. The original horn was just a single, and it was a little smaller. These horns here, I got these at Napa. They were made for motorcycles and ATVs, and one's a high, one's a low. So with the high-low, they kind of resonate together, and it sounds a little bit louder. You know, the more horn you have, the better. But the original one was really, really wimpy. It was very weak, like a beep, beep, beep. You know, just really kind of a goofy horn. So this is a lot louder. I don't know if I'm going to demonstrate it for the video, but you know, I think all motorcycles come with pretty weak horns. All right, on to the front of the bike. Headlights on motorcycles, all motorcycles, pretty much suck. And that was true for these. These came with the original halogens. And so I upgraded a couple of different times. I got some Sylvania Silver Stars, and it helped a little bit. And then I found another one that was actually 65 watts. And again, it was a little bit more improvement. But I got these. These are I'll see if I can post the exact name. I got them on Amazon. They are LEDs. And it was a little bit of a job to install them. But the light is very white, very clean, and I've been pretty happy with it. The high beams really light things up. A huge improvement when I'm riding at night. Now the thing that I did have to do, I had to do some modification, because I don't know if the camera is going to capture it or not, but you can see right down here there's a cover. It's a kind of a rubber cover. I had to cut that, and then I'd since put a piece of rubber over top of it to help keep dust out of it. But it's got a heat sink and a fan, so when you turn on lights, the fan comes on. And I don't know if I'm not going to be able to get this, but anyways, it comes with with a whole kit, and basically it's plug and play. You unplug your original lights, and there was a starter box, another little heat sink aluminum box that had to be zip tied, and I zip tied in the wires, and I can't catch it with the video. I did have to do the install with the fairings removed because there's just no room to get your hands in there. And I found that removing the fairings on this bike is actually fairly straightforward. It's pretty easy. I'm not going to go into it, but one of the things that I did invest in was a factory service manual, and I believe it was like about 80 or 100 bucks. But you know, since I'm going to be doing a lot of my own maintenance, I thought it was prudent to do that. You notice I don't have a factory windscreen. There really wasn't anything wrong with the factory windscreen. I kind of like this Puig. I like the fact that it's a little bit shaded, but I put it on and right away I didn't like it because it was a touring screen. So it was about 4 or 5 inches taller than it is now. And so I put it on. I didn't really like the way the air was going, and so then I took it off, and then I put it back on again. But before I put it on, I actually modified it somewhat. You can see I cut the top of it off. Now, how did I do that? Well, very carefully. I masked it all up, and I measured it, and I made a radius, and I cut it with a little handheld saw, and then sanded it and polished it, and it's just about 1 inch taller than the original screen, but it is wider. The only complaint I would have, if it was a complaint, was the hand guard actually touches right here. But you know, I don't hardly full turn anyways. You never do it when you're riding, but once in a while if I'm in the garage or moving or parking, sometimes it'll touch, but I don't think it's an issue. Again, one of the initial things that I did, I noticed when I first sat on the bike, it felt awesome. I really liked it. But then on a ride of any more than 2 or 3 hours, the original seat was just very hard. And this one, I found this, I did a lot of research. I looked at Corbin, I looked at Sargent. I ended up going with a Sargent. And this one is a lower profile. So it's actually a full inch shorter than the original seat, and it's softer. The issue I had with the original seat was here in the center. The center was really hard, and it was higher. And so where it would get me, it would, as I'm riding on a long ride, it really irritated my tailbone. And on a long ride, I'd come back, and then you know, my butt would hurt for like a couple of days. But since getting the Sargent, this one's a lot more comfortable. It's, again, it's 1 inch lower, you know, so it's 32 inches, and now I don't quite have to tippy toe. I can't quite flat foot, depending on which boots I'm wearing. But the Sargent, it was, I want to say it was about 400 bucks. I think I got it off of Revzilla. I've been absolutely happy with it. And you know, so that was almost mandatory to change that. The other thing that I did, I've seen this from other riders, was the cramp buster. I found this really seemed to help quite a bit, and it's adjustable. You can kind of adjust it on the fly, but it allows you to rest your hand. Some people put it over here. I just put it over here. I just rest the side of my palm on it. And you know, cruise control would be really nice, but not really a lot of bikes have that, except for like some of the bigger cruisers or the more expensive ones. But you know, after a couple hours of riding on long rides, I'll just stop anyways and just get off the bike and stretch my legs a little bit anyways. So, but it does seem to kind of help. You notice here also the bike did not come with 12-volt power points. Well, here I have 2. The ones that Kawasaki will sell you are about 200 bucks. This is a marine grade. It says marine on it right there. So it's waterproof resistant, water resistant anyways. But it's pretty heavy duty. Found it on Amazon. got 2 of them. Now to wire those, I did have to get a relay that goes up underneath of the dash. It goes, I don't want to say it goes right about there. There's a spot for it, and I had to get that from the dealer. And I want to say that was like 20 or 30 bucks for the relay. And what that did, it goes through the factory fuse block, so it's all factory wiring. And then I put an additional 5 amp fuse in these. So rather than just run it to 1, I ran it to 2 power points. This one I really don't use. This one I use for my phone, and it also has a USB. So if I need to charge something else, but I just usually just charge my phone. And I did have my GPS plugged into this one, but into this one. Had my GPS plugged in right there, but now I'm not running the GPS, so if I need to recharge something, I have a power point. I could also attach it to the battery. I have one that goes to the SAE plug if need be. For my phone mount, can't really show you because I'm using my phone right now. Sorry, that's my only video camera. The RAM mounts, X grip, they work wonderfully. I got another RAM mount here. I don't really have anything attached to it, but I have it just in case. I have more RAM stuff, and of course the RAM here where my GPS used to be. This one came with a tether, and so I ran for a long time without it, and I don't get any direct wind anyway, so there really isn't any risk of my phone blowing off. But I really like having the tether because it's just one more safety measure, and it takes a little bit more time. You just stretch this. This is just rubber. You just stretch this around the corner of the phone, and then I plug it in, and I keep it charged. It'll stay charged while I'm riding, so that way whenever I get to where I'm going, using GPS and everything else, and of course my Bluetooth and I can make phone calls. Not that I really do very much, but it works out pretty well. I'm not going to really do a gear review. I have my Bluetooth Sena headset that works really well, but that's all I'm going to say. The other piece that I have in here, I'm not a fast rider. I wouldn't call myself a speeder, but occasionally on a road where there's no hazards, there's no hard cross traffic or anything, I may get on it a little bit. So with that, I decided I wanted to have a radar detector, and I don't know if the camera is going to catch that, but it's right underneath of the dash, right underneath of the fairing. And I'll go ahead and flip it on. So there's also an amplified speaker. It's actually made by Escort, and the speaker is powered, so that had to be hardwired. And up here is a remote, so if it starts chirping, I can mute it right there. Also, there's a bright red LED that I can see. So if I'm going faster and I can't hear the speaker, can't hear the alert, I'll at least catch the red light. But I'll go ahead and turn it on right quick, and you'll hear that it's just going to chirp. I turned off all the other stuff, so it's you'll just hear it chirp right quick here. And there it goes into. Now, if it was picking up radar, it would go off.
Alright, radar detector is picking up KA band.
And it's a pretty loud speaker. I can hear it. I can hear it at 50 and 60 miles an hour, but I can't really hear it at 75 miles an hour. But I mean, sometimes it'll go off and I will hear it, but then the light right up here is pretty bright. You can get them in blue or red. Since this one was already red, I decided just to go ahead and go with that. I'll go ahead and start the bike. Maybe. Well, no, it's not neutral, is it? This is stock exhaust. I don't have any plans of changing it. From 2014 to 2015,
Kawasaki improved their exhaust system. It was supposed to be a 5% increase. I mean, unless something happens to this, I don't really see spending the $700 or $800 for a whole new exhaust system. And this particular bike is not compatible with any kind of slip-on because it's all one piece. It's all welded. And the original has a catalytic converter. Now, motorcycles don't have to get emissions tests in Arizona, but I'm all about keeping it as clean as I can. And like I say, I mean, it's factory, but I mean, it doesn't sound bad. It's a 2-cylinder parallel twin. I mean, yeah, it sounds nice. I'm not going to change it. If you're a smaller statured person, you know, just throw your leg over one, see if it works for you. I mean, some people don't like a taller bike. I actually kind of like it because I sit a little higher, and in Arizona a lot of people are driving SUVs and vans and such, and lots of pickups. So when I'm sitting on it, I mean, I'm 6 foot, and when I'm sitting on it, my head is right about the same height that it is if I'm standing, so I can see over stuff fairly well. And I think a taller bike, for me personally, just I feel like I present a better presence. If there's something I missed or something else here, just leave a comment. And I'm going to do some other reviews. I think I'm going to do some gear reviews. I haven't really done those, but now I've got some experience. I've got some miles on them. I have to say that if I was going to rate this bike on a 1 in 10 scale, it's 10 out of 10. If you're thinking about a Versys or any of the Kawasaki's, or, well, any of the Japanese bikes for that matter, just see if it fits you. This one fits me. It may not fit you, but it's the right bike for me. I don't have any regrets. I've had no buyer's remorse at all. I own it outright. When I was at the dealer, they asked me, well, how do you want to finance that? I said, well, I'm just going to put it on my Discover card and take the cashback bonus and then pay it off the next month. I'm absolutely happy with it. I love riding. I ride practically every day, and I plan on doing it for some time. All right, thanks for watching. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe. My channel is fairly small. I have not monetized it. I have no plans of doing that. But this YouTube videos and YouTube it's a hobby for me. So at least at this point, don't expect to see any ads on my videos.
And I've seen other Versyses, the 650. I've seen videos of them with riders riding them at 140 miles an hour or 130 something, because it was all in kilometers per hour. I've never had this one up to that speed. I've had it up to 100. There was no traffic, no cross traffic, and it was a road I was familiar with. And but I've also read that the 0 to 60 times is between 3 and 4 seconds. I've never really tested that because I'm not that skilled of a rider, and I found that when I accelerate on it real hard in first and certainly second gear, the front end wants to come up, and I'm not one to want to do any kind of a wheelie, because I really don't have the skill for it, and I wouldn't do it on the street anyways. But it seems to have plenty of power for highway driving, and it's the same engine as the Ninja 650, but it's been detuned to have a broader torque and power band. So it really starts making pretty good power at about 3,000 RPM. And from 4 to 6, it's pretty powerful. Up around 8 it's kind of feels kind of unlimited, but I really don't go beyond that too often. Now there are a lot of bikes that are a lot faster than this one. If you're going to be prolonged highway driving, 1000cc might be better. But then again, that 1000cc bike weighs 100 pounds more than this one. So everything's a trade-off. And I'm going to get on it just a little bit here. Go 60 miles an hour. And I didn't get on it all that hard. So, you know, for commuting and around town and highway, it's got plenty of power.